More recently, there's been a completely different phenomena that's been kind of taking place, and it's called a reverse merger. So, just to give perspective, in the pre-2000s, reverse mergers accounted for about 20 public offerings a year domestic, and maybe about 3 or 4 internationally. More recently, the numbers have increased at about 92 on average a year domestic, and foreign have jumped up to about 23 a year. So they've increased 7 to 8 fold. At the same time, IPOs have fallen. So reverse mergers have become a more important way of going public. Just to explain what a reverse merger is. In a reverse merger, a private company finds a company that's public, that's already trading, and solicits the public company to buy it. And after the purchase, it essentially takes on the public company.
Right.
But the way they structure the takeover, the owners of the private company end up being the main owners of the public company.
Okay.
So essentially, they're using an existing public company to become public. But the ownership is then restructured, where the old owners of the public company still own a little bit, but the main owners now are that private company. So the difference between that and an IPO is you're not going to the public. It's a private transaction between two companies. So it ends up being much faster. Not going to the public has the advantage that if you're a young company and there's a lot of uncertainty about you, you don't have to convince the public that the value you're going in to the public at really makes sense. So if you're very information asymmetric, which goes back to my interest in market microstructure, you may choose to use the reverse merger path rather than the IPO path. And that's exactly what we find. We find these are younger companies. They're much earlier in the stage of development. They really need to be public because they use stock to buy other companies in the future. They're cash short. Unlike IPOs, where IPOs are used by the owners of companies to cash in, essentially they reduce their holdings tremendously. In reverse mergers, we find no cashing out by the owners. The owners are actually still maintaining ownership in the firm. So there are very different motives for why companies use reverse mergers versus they use IPOs.